Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you all are doing well. Today in this lesson we will start a new chapter of your textbook, that is unit number 10, Inventions and Discoveries. Students, this unit provides information about some key inventions and discoveries of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Moreover, this unit will help to find out how some discoveries and inventions do not seem to have a purpose at the time they were discovered or invented, but are later proved to be essential in our everyday lives. So before we formally begin with the discussion of this chapter, let's discuss what is the difference between an invention and discovery. Students, invention is a new thing that someone has made or created. For example, computer was an invention when it was first made. On the other hand, a discovery is recognizing something for the first time that already exists, that nobody has found before. For example, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Students, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify and describe how electricity was discovered, determine how electricity production developed in Pakistan, explain how and when telephone was invented, establish how and when the car was invented, as well as you should be able to find out about the first cars and how cars have changed over time. Students, in this lesson, we will discuss textbook pages 97 till 100 of your textbook. Therefore, you are requested to take out your textbook page 97 and keep it in front of you now. So let's start the discussion of the lesson, and we will start it with the invention of electricity. Students, if you talk to older people, they might remember a time when few homes had electricity. But electricity has always been with us, as there is electricity in nature. Some fish can give an electric shock to animals that they want to eat, as well as amber is a natural material that can produce a type of electricity. The ancient Greeks called it electron. Students, scientists have investigated electricity since ancient times. A document in the Princess Library of Ujjain in India shows how to make an electric cell. Electric cell is a part of a battery. Electricity was not used much until the end of the 19th century. The American inventor Thomas Edison made a light bulb. Then he built a power station so that people could have electricity in homes, offices, and factories, and buy his bulbs. Electricity could power many other things like heating and machines at home and at work. Before 1947, when Pakistan was created, some private companies here owned power stations. There were no cables to carry electricity for very long distances, so many parts of the country had no electricity at that time. Now, let's move on to its effect. In 1947, Pakistan could produce 60 megawatts of electricity. 60 megawatts is the amount that about 15 modern families use in a year. But by 2010, Pakistan could produce 20,922 megawatts of electricity in order to meet the increasing demand of electricity in the country. Now students, let's move on to the invention of the phone. A British engineer called Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone. One day he sang a note into a piano. The wires in the piano vibrated. Vibrated means shook when the sound hit them. They made the same sound. He could make wires copy sounds so that people would hear them at the other end of the wire. So, first he tried short wires from one room to another, and this idea really worked. Next, he wanted to make the sounds clearer so that people could hear words. So, he made a type of phone. Students, in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell put up poles with wires fixed to them. The wires went all the way from his house to another house a few miles away. He spoke into his phone. The people at the other end of the wire heard what he said. So then he made a phone with two parts, one for speaking and the other for listening. After that, Graham Bell started a telephone company where he put up poles and wires to link buildings to a telephone exchange. Now, let's move on to the invention of the cars. Students, for thousands of years, people have made carts. They used animals to pull them. In the 19th century, they used steam engines to drive the wheels. A big boiler heated the water until the water turned to steam. But this method burned a lot of coal or wood. At the end of the 19th century, people made engines that burned petrol. The first to make petrol car was a German engineer called Karl Benz. He made a three-wheeled car called the motor wagon. In 1888, he opened a car factory. The first cars looked like carts with engines. As you can see in the picture as well, it's a three-wheeled motor wagon. Next, let's move on to the Henry Ford's Model T Ford car. By the 20th century, there were car factories all over the world. In America, Henry Ford made a car with pedals for driving it. He used a production line to build cars quickly. Now, what is a production line? Production line means that nobody built a whole car. Instead, many people made different parts of it. At first, only rich people had cars. Henry Ford built the Model T. It was cheap, so many more people could buy it. You can see the Model T Ford car shown in the picture. Now students, I am assigning you few questions to be done in the notebook as homework. Let me read the questions for you first. Question number 1 is, what did Bell do so that people could have phones in their homes? Students, in the answer of this question, you have to write about an achievement of Graham Bell that enabled the people of that time to buy phones and to use them in their homes and workplaces. Let's move on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, how were the first cars different from the modern cars? In the answer of this question, you are supposed to write down at least 3 ways in which the first cars were different from the modern cars. Now students, at the end of the lesson, I am providing you 2 video links. You people are suggested to watch the videos carefully in order to further enhance your concepts related to the topic. That's all for today. Take good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.